Hello YouTube, welcome to another budget video, and this time I'll be introducing my working desk. Right, okay, I will be starting with the desk itself. I will have to remind you that although this is a budget video, but there are some of the stuff that you cannot copy. So basically I made the speaker by myself, all right, and I made a table by myself. But for other stuff, maybe you can copy from that and get a hang of it, what kind of stuff you want. So when I'm watching all these kind of YouTube video, I realize that a lot of so-called budget video is actually quite expensive in my country as well. Well, if you're considering that they are talking about more than $100. So for developed country, that might be quite cheap, but for developing country, that's not a good deal, right? So let's start with the table, shall we? So this table, let's start with the table panel. This table panel is actually a wardrobe door, all right? We found this lying on the road, and then I just pick it up and then ship it to my home, all right? And then this one is a table leg from Ikea. And one of these is probably about $3 to $4, about $4 in Ikea. And we buy 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, and then 5 for extra support. Now I usually have a 4, and I put it in the very edge of this corner. But when I'm doing this, the table is too big. So just applying a slight pressure on this, the table actually bent. So eventually I have to change the location into here and then add another support beam in here. Now this is the most efficient and the most easy way to build a table. You put legs on top of it, and then vertically you put a plank. That's it, okay? I don't suggest you to buy a custom table legs or something, because custom Lego table legs are for more expensive stuff, not some kind of cheap stuff you buy on the road. Now let's look at the surface of this one. I do a little bit coating on top of here as well, but because you can see the quality is not so good. The quality of the paint is not so good. But anyway, you can just find whatever stuff you want and just give it a light sanding. And keep in mind that the screw will penetrate through the wood plank when I'm using the screw given by Ikea. So I put some of the paper here to try to mitigate the distance between the plank and the screws, so it won't bump out too much, but it still bump out a little bit. So I'm using some pad and the table tent. This is like a table dining cover for this. All right, so this is the table itself. So the table itself is quite big, that it actually can hold a lot of weight. So yeah, that's it. That's the table. Now moving on to the computer itself. Now let's see. I'm using a MacBook M1, and what you should notice in here is this one. This is not a MacBook holder. This alone is actually a napkin holder from Ikea as well, and I bought it from as it is, so it's on sale, and I bought it just for $2, and it holds my MacBook really fine, just like this. Very elegant. I know my table is quite messy, so yeah. Okay, this is the table stand. Now we have the MacBook stand, and then I connect to the dongle and all the docks to here, all the way towards this one. And this is a LG 24-inch monitor. I would suggest any kind of brand that you can have. Basically, go for LG or AOC, and preferably IPS panel, all right? And when you are doing an ergonomic build on this one, you notice that I have a distance from here to here. So when I'm working on in here, my head will be looking directly to the screen. I don't have to tilt my head down or anything, all right? So this one is you can use simple little stools or anything just to keep in that. Use some kind of a pine wood, okay? If you are in some country which the wood is quite cheap, I suggest just some simple 2x4 will do. All right, and this is the speaker itself. I actually bought this from China. And this speaker alone is just about 4.5. Let's make it $5. $5. And then this alone is around $3. This is a subwoofer, and I found a box on the road as well. And other than that, well, I found an amplifier, and it's called whatever stuff it is. But anyway, this one, if you buy on Alibaba, you need to prepare a power supplier to it. So I'm using an old power supplier from a ASUS laptop. Yeah, so that do. And just a simple one, and then depending on the size of your room, you want to get at least for 30 watts. 30 watts is very enough for personal usage in terms of working desk. All right, now let's talk about ergonomic builds. Most important stuff is the input. Now we have the output, we have the speaker, we have the screen. We gotta have the input stuff. All right, the input stuff, I have so many mechanical keyboard. All right, this one is an NJ68, but let's go for the budget build. All right, for budget build, this is a CIY GAS67, and you can buy any kind of a cheap keycaps. And for the switches, where does it go? Okay, for the switches, I would recommend using a Gateron, because Gateron, they have a pretty damn good quality compared to its price. All right, not very good in terms of stability and the smoothness in terms of it, but actually does pretty well for what it provides. All right, okay. And for the mouse, a lot of people would suggest the mouse using a Logitech MX or something, but that's too damn expensive for that. Probably the mouse itself, the new and master mouse itself, is probably more expensive than my entire build. So I suggest this one. This is a quite rare option. It's a Logitech pop mouse. And I think the campaign manager or something, they want to target a young audience. I don't really like the bright color. They only have the bright color one. Recently they have the new one, which is a gray color. Really like that. Okay, enough about this. Let's talk about why the pop mouse is so good. Okay, why the pop mouse? It doesn't look fantastic anyway. It doesn't look very ergonomically, but let me tell you why. The first one is that if you're holding your hand like this, or you're holding your hand like this, it will do the job very easily. And the most important part about this one is that it has a electromagnetic scroll, which is very, very smooth. Okay, I'll give you an example. All right, let's go to the command line here. We can do the step by step, or we can do the rolling, like rolling super fast. This kind of scrolling experiences is only appear on high tier mouse in Logitech. So it actually appears on this kind of a low end, and this one is roughly around $35 depending on the region. It could be more expensive, it can be more cheaper, but the price range is roughly around 35. And sometimes if you're boring, you can just click this up and then put it back. It's somewhat oddly satisfying. And also this one is produced, the what is that, micro button? The button here is produced by the TTC, so you can change it, and it is a silent one, so not much sound. I'm clicking it right now. You cannot hear it, right? And anyway, the scrolling, this experience of everything, and it can connect up to 3 Bluetooth device. You can connect to your iPhone, iPad, and your MacBook, whatever the stuff, or the MacBook or the Windows laptop. This is a steal. All right. So that's it. That's all the stuff I'm offering, and for the stand, you can buy it anyway, so I'm not gonna introduce that. All right, this is my ergonomic build. Have fun building your own. Bye-bye. All right, and a little bit more details. If you're using a Mac and you're using this kind of stuff, all right, you will notice that the scrolling direction is gonna be opposite, but my scrolling direction is completely fine and very smooth. So when you're using a mouse on a MacBook, I highly suggest you install something called the MOS, M-O-S, and then it has it's an open source page, and you can just download and do that. There are tons of video about this. So MOS, remember that. Okay, let's do some testing for the speakers. I'm now playing the sound through the MacBook itself. All right, see the. Alright, now the switch to the external headphone. Alright, this is the sound, and the bass, I'm not very satisfied about this one, because as you can see, this is a ported subwoofer, so the sound, it could be a little bit distorted. I prefer the sealed one, but I cannot find a sealed box. Basically, someone have to fill out the steel box anyway. So that's it. Have fun.